Hello everyone, this is John Byrne with Poets and Quants. Welcome to our series on the inside story from the MBA admission Gatekeepers, sponsored by Fortuna Admissions. Today we're going to talk about Columbia Business School. And we have a terrific guest to speak about Columbia and how to get in. It's Michael Malone. Michael was an associate dean at Columbia Business School. He also, incidentally, had been the head of career management at the Kellogg School of Management at Northwestern University. He's now part of the dream team of former gatekeepers to the world's top business schools at Fortuna Admissions. Michael, it's a pleasure.
Thanks so much for having me. It's great to be here.
Give us a sense of your experience at CBS and Kellogg, for that matter.
I was at Columbia Business School in a number of different capacities. I started there in business development and then headed MBA career education and advising for about 6 years. I went to Kellogg when I was asked to run their career management center, just a phenomenal experience there. And then I was asked to come back to Columbia and for a number of years oversaw admissions, financial aid, and the two program offices for the MBA and EMBA program. Later on, then oversaw their MS and PhD programs.
Clearly, you have at least 5 key things that every candidate should know about applying to Columbia.
First and foremost, admissions at Columbia is super competitive because the school's typically in the top 3 in the number of applications received. Candidates should keep that in mind. 2, applying is probably a little bit better if you do it earlier rather than later, in part because it is so competitive and in part because of Columbia's unique approach with rolling admissions. Third, Columbia also employs a unique approach to their interview process. They include and utilize alumni interviewers, and it's a really unique opportunity to speak with someone who is an industry practitioner as part of the interview process. Fourth, Columbia Business School puts a significant emphasis on diversity, equity, and inclusion, and that has implications for how you present yourself in the application. And last but not least, Columbia in the past couple of years has taken a significant turn toward upping their game as being a competitive technical institution. So candidates should bear in mind that they are looking at the technical backgrounds for folks as they go through this process.
Now, there are a couple of other things related to the admissions process that are kind of interesting at Columbia. One of them is the fact that you have 2 intakes.
That's right. Columbia has its August intake, but then they also have the January term intake, which is a 16-month program. It begins in January. There is not an embedded internship period. You go to classes throughout the summer. You do have a bit of a break in there to be able to fit in perhaps a shorter independent internship. And then you go through your second year. So it's a total of 16 months from end to end.
And the other unusual thing about Columbia Business School is its early decision process.
Their early decision process is a very strong way for candidates to indicate that this is a real top choice for them. Given the number of applications that Columbia receives, in part because it's a top institution, in part because it's in New York City, it's a way that candidates can differentiate themselves. And I would caution candidates to only pursue early decision if they really are sure that Columbia is a top program for them. But if they have any inclination in that direction, I think it can only help to voice and to demonstrate their willingness to be part of the Columbia community.
You know, Kellogg has this rah-rah kind of reputation among its students. Columbia has this cutthroat reputation among its students. And I say reputation because I think both are, stereotypical views of what those schools are. But what's your sense of what the actual MBA experience at Columbia Business School is?
Cutthroat thing, I think, is a thing of the past.
Yeah.
Now, interestingly, there's a deep sense of community there. And I always found it fascinating that on the one hand, students were extraordinarily independent. They were involved in their own side gigs on a regular basis. They took classes inside and outside of the business school. So there wasn't that sense of we're all in the same place at the same time. But there was a strong sense of belonging and a unique sense of the community at Columbia. Kellogg, I feel like when I walked in there, they embrace a team mindset and a team mentality from jump. So I don't know if I describe it as rah-rah per se, but what I would say is that they naturally gravitated towards each other. They also lived in the same place or many of the same places, and that had a huge impact on the immediacy in creating a sense of community.
How important is your desire to study and be in New York City in the application process?
I do think that folks have to make a very strong case for why not only Columbia, but why New York City. Is it the home of your target industry or function? Are the players that you're looking to network with primarily based in New York? Is that where you hope to set up shop post MBA? But that said, it's not enough just to say at the very center of business. You do have to go deeper and do your homework and your research on particular classes, particular professors, centers, programs, clubs, organizations. You really need to get to know the institution deeply and be able to voice in your application why New York City is a good fit, but why Columbia specifically is a good fit for you.
I think that one of the true assets that Columbia provides is being in the city and having the access that it has to industry leaders.
It was amazing, John, to see at Columbia how many CEOs came through for lunchtime speaker series, to do dean's talks, to come to centers and programs presentations. It was absolutely amazing. And that kind of access to top practitioners and influencers in fields is just unparalleled. And I saw the students year over year just get so much value from being able to meet and hear from these leaders and to really be influenced by them in a way that other schools may not give that kind of access.
Now, Michael, any final words of advice for an aspiring CBS candidate?
One recommendation I would make for anybody that's going through the application process, certainly for CBS and even more broadly, is this. You have to be able to understand and represent your own skills, values, motivators, and interests, and then try to align those with what Columbia does well if you're going to make a strong case that you can be a good fit. If you do this work now, it's going to benefit you not only during your application process for top MBA programs like Columbia, but it's going to benefit your career exploration and development as well.
Great advice. Michael, a real pleasure.
Thanks so much for having me.
You've been listening to Michael Malone, who's the director at Fortuna Admissions, the sponsor of our series, The Inside Story from MBA Admission Gatekeepers. Watch for our other episodes. This is John Byrne with Poets and Quants. Thanks for watching.